Alright everybody, now I'm going to show you how to do some thumbnail sketching. Thumbnail sketching is a fast way to come up with lots of ideas. The goal with thumbnail sketching is not to nail a composition or to, come up with the best design necessarily. It's just to come up with a lot of ideas. So I like to time my thumbnails. There's a tendency that most artists have, that I count myself among them, who get wrapped up in trying to do a sketch and you sort of get swept away by making the drawing look right. Well, with thumbnails, we're not trying to get the drawing right, we're just trying to get the idea right. So these are the tools that I want you to make sure you have at your disposal before you begin. So I've got my Jack and the Beanstalk story that I'm going off of. I've got my reference photos, so I've printed these out. I like to print them out, but you can use them on a monitor if that's what you prefer. The reason I like to have them printed out is just, it's easier to transfer, to hold something up to the light or whatnot. But however you want them, I don't care, but you want to have lots of your reference on hand, close by. You want to have a ruler, you want to have your story and your written notes, and some blank paper. You'll also notice that I have basically two Sharpies. I have a medium-sized Sharpie, and I have a very fat, unwieldy paint marker, and I have a pencil. So the first thing is you want to know the proportions of your illustration. So we're doing an 11 by 17 proportion. That's tabloid size. It's fairly tall and skinny. And since I'm not worried too much about the composition just yet, I'm just trying to mine for ideas. We're just going to work on vertical sketches. And once you have all 8 of your quartered pages, then go ahead and number them up in the upper left corner. This is why I have a pencil, because it's light enough to ignore when I'm drawing, but I'm going to label them 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. all the way to 32. And then once you begin, you're going to switch to your large marker and we'll set a timer. And I have my idea. I have my Jack and the Beanstalk. I have my ideation. I have a lot of thoughts going on in my head. Now we're just going to come up with sketches that you feel like tell the story of your myth. And you're going to time yourself. I wouldn't give yourself more than 2 minutes a piece. I usually do 1 or 2 minutes depending. But if you set the timer for 2 minutes, like I can think about like what are my main ideas for Jack and the Beanstalk. I already wrote them before on another sheet, but I have cloud, castle, beanstalk, obviously. We have giant, you have Jack, you have an escape, Jack escape. Just some basic ideas if you need to have them nearby. But these are the kinds of ideas that are going to be on your mind. You're going to be going through your reference photos and just kind of keeping these in mind while you're drawing. We're not trying to copy the photos, but you want to stay somewhat in the realm of what you already have reference photos of. Okay, so if I was to begin now, let's say, if I set the timer, then it begins. I go, okay, so do I have any good clouds? Why don't I start with one that's got like a castle? So I have this idea. Here's a nice cloud. So I have a castle. And then the timer begins or so. I'm not too concerned with it looking just like a castle, but just that I have the shape. Okay, here's my castle up here. And then I have my clouds. So I'm going for the castle and the clouds look on this one. Maybe there's a sun. I don't know. The sun doesn't have to be there. And then we have this idea of a beanstalk sort of peeking through the clouds. Some leaves, and then we have Jack sort of climbing. And I know what sketches I have, so I'm looking at this sketch of the boy, a sketch of the castle, and the photographs of people climbing. So these are the kinds of poses that that I'm keeping in mind while I sketch, so I can come up with a good idea that I have reference for, because I just want to keep these loose. And then on the next step, we'll get more detailed. Here's a hand if I want to do that one. So when the timer goes off, beep, beep, okay, now I'm going to do another sketch. use this hand as kind of the basis, because we have the story. The idea is that that big hairy giant is going after Jack. Maybe I'll just go for a minimal approach this time. You don't have to worry about these ideas being good. Here's my Jack jumping down. He's got his bag. Maybe he's caught. I don't know if that doesn't really happen in the story. Not in that way necessarily, but it's just a thumbnail sketch. So I'm going to do 32 of these at least. The idea of the thumbnail is you want to do enough to where you feel like you have at least a few usable ideas. And then the timer will go off and you'll go on to number 3. I'll do a couple more before I move on. So I'm going through my reference again. There's lots of elements from the story of Jack and the Beanstalk that I can use. It doesn't have to be from any one particular scene, but what if I do like a curvy beanstalk that's going way up into the air? Maybe even sort of turning over itself. And again, of course, these have composition to them, but this isn't the correct proportion. We're going to do I'm going to do 11 by 17 in the end, and that's much skinnier. But I do want to keep it oriented, like if this is it's supposed to be a vertical poster, then I want to make sure that my sketch is also vertical. So I might have that, and then I'm going to look at maybe this kid, I don't know. I kind of want to be going up. So the more reference you have, the better it is, because it's hard to find reference after the fact. And here's Jack sort of looking up, climbing. Maybe none of these work out. The reason that we're doing 32 of them is so that we have options. Okay, that's all right. Timer goes off. And you can always riff off of another idea that you've already done. So that's something else to think about. So let's see. Maybe I'll do one where, I don't know how it works, maybe some wispy clouds. Close up of Beanstalk. Jack's hand. Maybe his head is just starting to peek over. Might as well draw through. You have lots of climbing images and other things to look at. Because like I said, it's true when I say that you don't want to stray too far away from your reference photos. It's really hard to find reference photos after the fact. Meaning, it's hard to try and find something that works if you've already come up with an idea and now you need a castle from a particular angle. It's hard to find that particular angle unless maybe you have like access to a castle or a castle toy, or So here he is kind of up high in the clouds. And then I'll see if I can put a landscape down below and curve so you can tell it's up high. I'll put these sort of perspective lines so it looks like fields or something. And then maybe the timer goes up. Oh, I didn't quite finish that one, but that's okay. I can start it on the next one. So you got to be kind of disciplined to the timer. Anyway, so there might be 4 thumbnail sketches. And you keep going. As soon as the timer goes off, switch to the next one. And you'll do 32 at least. All right, if you timed yourself 2 minutes apiece, then 32 drawings would take you about an hour and 10 minutes. Is that right? Something like that. Anyway, I usually do them 1 minute apiece. I sketch pretty fast, but I really don't want you to do more than 2 minutes apiece. And I really strongly suggest that you commit to how long you're going to sketch ahead of time. Once you have all your drawings and they're all numbered, 1, 2, 3, in the upper corner with graphite or something that doesn't stand out too much, you're going to go back through all your drawings and sort of think about which ones are your favorites. Which ones do you think have the most potential as illustrations? Which ones do you want to maybe work up? Which ones look fun? So there's a lot of different ideas here. These make more sense to me than maybe they do to the viewer, but that's okay. You need to be able to understand them, and hopefully the viewer can understand them as well. But you're going to go through and just go ahead and star or circle the ones that you think are good. So I kind of liked this one with the big boot, and Jack sort of jumping. He's like running down the beanstalk. I played around a little bit with language. We had fee, fi, fo, fum as part of the iconic language of Jack and the Beanstalk. I have some where I played with the title. You know, you can play with the title all you want, if you want to in the piece, or you can leave it out. That's up to you. But just go ahead and indicate the ones that you think are strong. So all these different ideas. I kind of like this one with the hand reaching down. That's pretty cool. Here's one where Jack's like jumping over the giant's face. Didn't really work. So some are going to work. Most are not going to work. So our goal is just to get, 3 to 5 ones that look interesting to you. So here's some focused on the silhouette, the house at night. It's okay. I don't think it plays to my strengths, but I want you to choose the one that you're going to choose, the one that you think is the best, and or the 3 that you think are the best before moving on.